cats, Dave? There you are. Oh, guys, it has started out been a wild night. I have a visitor.
Oh, you were watching the Vikings too?
No, I have a visitor right here. This is not mine. I don't know where it came from. We're trying to locate the owner. I have no idea how he feels about cats. So right now, I'm just trying to keep him where I can keep eyes on him because I have nowhere to put him. So in the event that something bad happens, Steve is going to kill my camera feed so that y'all don't have to witness me protecting my cats. So hopefully the cats either stay out of here or he doesn't mind them. I don't know which. But
yeah,
I've got a message out into the community because it's not a neighborhood, it's a community. But I've talked to all my neighbors that live within what you would expect a dog to walk from. It's not their dog. So I don't know where this guy come from. So far, he seems pretty nice, except maybe the cats. That's to be determined. But he won't let me quit petting him.
Well, that's hopefully he's a friendly boy that just needs someone to help him find a way home.
Yeah. Well, he's got a collar on. It's relatively loose, so I'm guessing it hasn't been on him too long. But there's no name tag or number or nothing like that. And I don't have a way of reading to see if he's been chipped, which he looks like he's a mix. So there's a really good chance probably nobody's took the initiative to chip him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he stays here overnight, we may find out tomorrow. So.
All right. Well,
I do have vet. Yeah. So apparently he has decided that he just won't lay down over here beside me and participate in the live tonight. Like I said, which is cool until one of the cats shows up.
Guest starring.
So I'm going to be a little distracted tonight for a little while, guys. I'm sorry. I was sitting in here working on these stove covers over here, and you can see I just kind of quit abruptly because my darn perimeter alerts kept going off, like over where my tractor and my buggy are around back. And I'm like, one false alarm, okay. But it was like over and over and over and over. So I was like, okay, let me go check this out.
Yeah.
When I went around there, that's what I found. So about 100-pound dog, or at least 70-pound dog.
It's a good size then.
Oh yeah, I think it looks like a Pyrenees, maybe can't see him, like maybe a Pyrenees Shepherd mix or something. So I don't know. I mean, he's nice. So it's not. I'm a pet person, so I don't want to hurt him or do nothing to him.
Yeah.
But now I'm not going to sit here and let him kill my cats either. So.
Right. Well, hopefully it all goes well.
Yeah. So you just remember, if something breaks loose, just kill the feed. Kill the feed. But yeah.
Well, I'll do my best to entertain in the case that chaos ensues at the Clack Shack.
Yeah. Well, I've got the door open so that the cats can make a quick getaway if they need to. But once they get in here, there's so much stuff they can get under. They know all the little nooks and crannies. So. Yeah. He can't get to him, and I don't really see him being that way, but who knows?
Yeah, you never know. So, anyway, we've got a good group of people in here. We got over 100 and almost 160. So I don't know if we're going to be able to say hi to everyone this week, but good to see everyone here. My voice might be a little bit hoarse. I've been doing a lot of talking into the camera today, trying to get caught up and ahead. Because you and I are going to be taking a trip in just over a week. Well, not together, but we're going to be meeting up for a trip, heading out to CES here, coming up on the, we're flying out the 6th, but we'll be there the 7th and 9th of January. Excited to do that. And meet with some industry people and some other content creators. And we still don't know 100% what we're all doing there, but we're going to be there. We'll have some form of cameras with us, even if it's just cell phones and whatnot. And hopefully we'll have some interesting stuff to share from that event just over a week from now. So
yeah, it'll be and then you're going to be going by Cody's. I think I saw Cody in here a while ago, so you're going to be visiting with Cody if all goes well, correct?
Yeah, plan to go and raid his compound and check out his machines and say hey and try not to break anything while I'm there.
I don't guess my stuff's back feeding or anything. I forgot to put my headphones on because of all the dog commotion.
Well, seems to be okay for now.
Okay. If it starts giving trouble, let me know.
But Cody, I know you've followed us for a while, and I did recently restock, so you may be finding some of these around your shop after I visit.
He will. You'll find them in some of the weirdest places.
But yeah, we're looking forward to that. I checked the weather. It's looking at now. I don't know what they consider nice down there, but it's looking like 60s and maybe the lows overnight getting into 40s. So for me, considering what I'm going to be leaving, it's been really nice here this week. Actually, we've melted most of our snow. We've been in, I think it was 44, 45 yesterday. It was up in the low 40s again today, but it's going to get cold again. And I may just miss this little dip of cold here because I know the day after I fly out, I think we have a high of 3 and a low in that negative something. So I'm going to be enjoying it, even if the locals think it's kind of cold. So
yeah. I'm going to let Brandy know that she can let Rogue out if she needs to, because we put her up because even though this dog's really nice, Rogue is back when me and Max were training. she's been trained to be a guard dog, and so she gets a little testy with other animals. So I was going to let Brandy know that he's contained if she needs to go take a break.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, this is just throwing a wrench in everything I had planned tonight. Sorry about that, guys.
It happens. But I've been so I earlier this week I was working with the Acmer P3, the enclosed version. Now Clack had an early version of that, which was the dual head that had the 10-watt diode and the 2-watt IR, which was kind of cool to see. And of course, it's their enclosed unit. But they've come out with multiple modules for it, everything from that to I think a straight 10-watt, or no, a 24-watt, and then a 48 24-watt, and then the 2-watt straight IR or the 10-watt. So they've got a nice collection of modules for that one. And it like was the theme this year for 2024. Everybody kind of coming out with their enclosed lasers, trying to make them. I always put a little bit of an asterisk on the class 1 rating. Most of them are enclosed and they do a better job than the open frame, but most of them that I've tested, there's always some light leakage somewhere that I kind of go, I don't know that it would 100% qualify for it, but they've all been making a good effort for that, and including enclosures, cameras, and such. So it's been interesting to see that this year. So I did get that one in recently and release my thoughts on it. Now the 48 watt on that one is pretty nice for a little enclosed laser. So it so if you're curious about that, check out that video. And then of course today I've been working on the OMTech Maker 25, and so that's that Ruida DSP controlled kind of more mid-grade industrial-ish laser. Kind of halfway between a benchtop and a full floor standing unit. So I'm hoping to get that stuff edited up before I leave, and then hopefully get some projects at least edited, or at least the footage, so I can edit it while I'm gone, because I'm going to be gone for a solid week because I'm flying out Monday, and I won't be back till the following Monday, and then I turn around and I got an in-state trip for work for a couple days. So I'm going to be kind of out of the shop for a good week and a half. So I'm going to try to get some things going so I can still, not go dark on everyone. But I will, barring crazy circumstances, I will still be able to join the live when I'm down in Arizona. We'll be able to have a chat about CES and everything. Yeah.
Well, like I said, hopefully everything goes good. Somebody, the Duke of Tanks, asking about using a CNC to cut a 1/4-inch material rather than a laser. Says he has an Atom Stack A48 Ultra that's probably going back. They sent a new board and it's still broke. Not sure what's wrong with it, but yeah, you can cut 1/4-inch material. You're going to have to select the appropriate bit, especially if it's like a veneer, like really, really thin layers. Me personally, if I'm cutting 1/4-inch or like real thin material, I like to kind of I use a downcut bit first of all, because if you don't, the sheet's going to pull up in the middle if it grabs too much. So I usually use a downcut bit, and I'll put like a piece of sacrificial material underneath it so that I can punch all the way through it to try to get a really clean cut coming out the back. Because if not, you're going to get that. It's going to flake up on you real bad and cause some those little shards that really hurt when they get under your fingernails. That's my experience. What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, I a lot of the higher power, maybe in quotes higher power, but a lot of these lasers like to talk about, hey, you can cut through 1/2 inch material, even some touting, close to 3/4 and almost full 1 inch material. Generally, they tend to get kind of slow. Most of them, and it's too bad that the 48 isn't working for you, because 1/4 inch material on 30 plus watt lasers is reasonable and doable. You start getting over 3/8, into like that 1/2 inch or like 10 to 12 millimeters of thickness, starts getting questionable. And that's where I do recommend the CNC, but there are trade-offs. As Clack was mentioning, there's some material holding aspects. You got to make sure you get the right bit, and you can't get quite as fine of corners. You're going to be limited to the radius of your bit. And, when you're talking about thicker material, that's the trade-off, is you can get finer bits. I used to run my model airplane stands, which was 3/8 or 9mm Baltic birch with a 2mm end mill. And that was kind of the sweet spot between where I could get as fine of corners as possible without running the risk of constantly breaking bits or having to go super slow. So it is a trade-off in, the detail or the sharpness of the corners or things like that. So that being said, anytime you get over 1/4 inch, I'm definitely try to recommend people start, maybe if you're doing it a lot and it's very big, that's where a CNC is really going to help you improve your workflow.
Yeah, like I said, with to me, the thing that like I said, that's the only concern that I have with a thinner material, and even with like cutting acrylic and Lexan and stuff like that, is if you use an upcut bit, you're holding it on the edges unless you tape it down or something. And as you're cutting it, that upcut bit is going to try to pull that material up off the workbed. And if it ever breaks it loose from your work holding, you've got a mess. So I've cut some 1/4 inch, and I've even cut some 3mm with my CNC, but I used a downcut bit, and I had another layer of sacrificial material underneath it that I cut into about 1mm or so, just to get that pressed, clean cut off of it.
Well, and if you're doing a lot of thin material in the CNC, that's one reason to start looking into a vacuum table, is it does tend to hold that down better. And on my first couple of CNCs, I actually did have that option. So,
yeah. This dog's really distracting me in here, because I don't know if there's a cat in here or not already. I don't know if they're still outside or if they're in here or what. But
sounds like Laura's still trying to work on the atom stack, get it quit slipping on the y-axis. Yeah, mechanical issues can be frustrating to track down. But and sometimes, I mean, I've had my X70 kind of, it's been sitting for too long. I almost kind of had to reset it, kind of go back, loosen up all the belts, retighten all the belts, double check all the wheels, especially, and that's the thing too, is if you have, now this one's got steel rails and steel wheels, but on a lot of those earlier units, they have those kind of Delrin wheels that ride on the extrusion. And
the rubber material.
they'll get a little bit of a, if they sit in a spot too long, they can get a flat spot that needs to work out after time too. So, stick with it. If you're seeing some symptoms, photos do great. And we do have our Facebook group, the Laser Engraver community on Facebook. It should be linked in both channels. Share your photos out there of what you're seeing, and it can help diagnose those things. So hopefully you get some progress on that soon.
Yeah. Brian, you killing me, sir. You killing me, sir. Brian's wanting to know if he shows up at the door acting like he's lost if I let him in. Well, I have y'all know my relationship with dogs. I mean, there's my buddy Max, but since he passed, I hadn't really looked at getting another one. I hadn't really wanted to. And my wife was telling me a while ago, she's like, well, it may be, good Lord may have decided it's time for you to get another dog. And I'm like, I hope not, because I'm really not ready. I had thought about getting me another one to train once I got retired, but that's still a good ways off. So, but I don't know. Like I said, the tide will tell if he starts chasing these cats. If he starts chasing these cats, he's going to have to go somewhere outside of this shop.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Bespoke Lasers is wondering if we're giving away a 3D printer.
Well, I don't have any to give away, really.
Yeah, not officially, although I have an older one. If someone was to ask nicely and show up, I might just give it to you to get you off my lawn. But
I was supposed to say, when's the Venturi's workshop yard sale?
No, I have that old Cheaty Tech one that I did a review on. It's about a year ago, and it's a decent printer. It's got Clipper and Core XY. But man, I just find myself using the bamboo printers all the time right now. And in thinking about, stepping up to the P1S, it would be great to get that out of the way. But I have, speaking of giving some things away, I did get in touch with an organization here in Minnesota. It's someone who has been working this past year to spin up a kind of a nonprofit, and they are makers. They currently have a Onefinity and they have a small shop, but they lost their 4-year-old son about a year ago, and they've been using kind of the workshop time and making to be part of their healing process. And so they've been making some heart pendants for kids at the Children's Hospital, and they've been making other things to sell to, go towards programs with that. And they want to expand this to kind of help others kind of use workshop time and making to kind of work through their grief and such. And so they reached out through a Onefinity group as well as a Minnesota woodworking group. And I got in touch with the individual and just said, hey, I'm curious about what you're doing and whatnot. And they currently don't have a laser to kind of pair with their standard workshop tools as well as their Onefinity. So I am kind of going to work with it for him to kind of figure out what they've got and try to make sure that I can get them set up with a laser that can help their program and what they're trying to do with people. Because I know, like, I lost my mom back in 2017 to cancer, and part of the process for me, I mean, she used to support everything I did, and it was fun to share stuff with her. And thankfully, I still have my father, but I was through that process. I ended up building the urn for her and such, and so I can kind of relate with what he's doing and want to kind of support that. So it's nice to be able to find some organizations like this that I can help through some of the stuff that we've been doing with our channels and such. But that being said, yeah, we don't have a 3D printer to give away tonight. We gave away a lot of stuff last week. And I've been we've been working through trying to get back to everybody. And hopefully most people are getting in contact. Some of the vendors are working on getting their stuff out as well. So if you haven't heard from Clacker Eye, send an email to me again. If you're running any issues with the vendors or whatnot, the supporters, let me know as well. Cause I know we've had a couple of people reach out to me saying, hey, I'm trying to, make sure this is legit and such. So we want to make sure everybody gets their prizes, but know that some of it's been some things get lost in translation.
Yeah. One of the gift cards has not been, it's showing that it was sent, but it has not been delivered. And that was the Kiln Bits at Gmail. I don't know who that was, if that's one of the regular listeners or whatever, but I resent the notification to claim it. But all the gift cards went through and have been received by the recipient and everything, except for that one. And I resent it again today. So if you know who that person is, make sure they're checking their email and checking their spam folder.
Yeah. And I sent another 3 out through Amazon. So hopefully those people got theirs as well. So yeah. Just follow up with us. We want to make sure everybody gets their prizes and such. That being said, we are working on some additional things that we can do for people. And some of them maybe kind of just pop up. Hey, I've got this. We're going to do it this way. And so jump on the lives. You never know when we might be tossing something out your way that can benefit you.
It was outgoing. Oh, he laid down right
yeah, so trying to
Cody said the bits are going out tomorrow. And once again, Cody, we appreciate you that you participated in our giveaway, and I hope everybody enjoys the bits as much as I do. And as always, Cody's kind of the official bits of the Clack Shack. I use other bits too, but like as far as supporting, I do support Garrett over at IDC as well. But if Cody doesn't have it, I go to Garrett. But Cody's my first stop just because we've actually, we've become pretty good friends in the past year or so. So yeah, if you need CNC bits, go check Cody out. Especially even if you have the smaller machines. I've seen somebody said they had got them a what's the orange one? Dang it.
Fox Alien.
Yeah. That Fox Alien with the 1/8 inch bits, if you don't have the 1/4 inch collet, if you have a 1/4 inch collet, you can run the full size 1/4 inch bits. But even if you have an 1/8 inch collet, those 1/8 inch downcut the Jenny bits, the 1/8 inch ones are awesome, especially for like roughing and for cutting and stuff. So go check those out. Because I use them like that little Linyu or whatever it's called over there, and the Jinmitsus. I run the 1/8 inch bits in them all the time.
Yeah, I've been using them for I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe Cody's got order history, but
you've been using them longer than I have.
Yeah. I feel bad because this past year I haven't. I haven't have as
you have neglected your CNC, and I have discussed it with you.
I know, but I have a number of projects and designs. I was actually kind of looking at a couple that I was going to try to make kind of the laser version as well as the CNC version. So hopefully after I get back from this trips in January, I'm going to be able to hit more project videos like that. But yeah, definitely Cody's been great to work with over the years, and hopefully continue for quite a while. He keeps expanding his line, and he started out just like us doing making stuff in his shop, and wanted to help support people with these machines. And
KJ says he's been checking his email. He still can get he is from Great Lakes. I know he's been notified. The guy at Great Lakes.
Yeah, he said he was the other day. He was trying to get them set out. Yeah, Sunday or Saturday. So.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, the holidays has been going on with some of that stuff, just like with Cody. Those guys are like, small operations, so it's not like they have a crew that's working over the weekend for the holidays and stuff. So just bear with them. If he doesn't come through, we'll discuss it then. But I'm sure he will. And also I was going to tell everybody too. I know Greg over at STL Woodworking. He's cutting his teeth on an F1 Ultra now because he called me. He was having some I won't say difficulties. He was having a bit of a learning curve on how to get it connected to his Wi-Fi the other day, and so we talked and he got it hooked up, and he is entering the world of fiber lasers. He said that he had a D1, but this is the first fiber laser that he's had. So he's on the learning curve for it.
Cool.
Broken Spur is asking any tips for the Jinmitsu 4040 Pro Max for a new CNC user. My tip would be just take it easy until you get the hang of it and you get comfortable. It's okay to go too slow, but you don't want to go too fast. If you're going to go one or the other, go too slow. Too fast can tear stuff up.
Well, going too slow, you can start fires and you can also overheat bits. So you don't want to go too slow.
Yeah, but
yeah, you can start conservative and yeah. You can do some damage quick on too fast, but also no. I mean, that's one of the things even I learned, and I continue to learn. Don't be too conservative, or you will create a whole different set of problems. Yeah. It really depends on where you're starting at. Definitely watch a number of videos, and what I kind of recommend people do is do just an engrave first. So like grab some text and have it, pocket out some text, just, maybe a 16th to an 1/8 inch deep, kind of get a feel for that. and then maybe do a route, a profile path around that. You can kind of start with a sign and such, and then eventually you can start pocketing. I've actually thought about doing a little bit of that on one of the project videos, is just, your first three, like maybe your first three projects. And when I do it, I'm going to be doing it with the Genmitsu 4040 kind of as the starter CNC to try to help people that. But a lot of it is also dependent on the software that you end up getting. So I'm a VCarve person. I've been using it for a long time. So it's I know that's kind of a chunk to bite into and get into, but it down the road, I feel like it is kind of worth it to start on that and just stick with it. So
like I said, the software to me, I prefer VCarve. I used Easel in the beginning. Easel is easier because a lot of the settings, it'll give you like estimated speeds and feeds depending on what machine you put in and all that. So it's a little easier to start out with, but it's very limiting as far as what you can do with it. I find VCarve is better for me, but there is, like I said, there is a little bit more of an uphill climb, getting your feet wet. But what a lot of times when I get these new machines, what I'll do, especially if it's a spindle size that I'm not familiar with, like you said, I'll set almost like a light burn speed test. I'll do like a 1-inch circle, 1/16 of an inch deep, and I'll set that pass at one speed at a certain depth, and then I'll do another one a little faster and another one a little faster, and I'll send that job out on a scrap piece of material, like some of this pine 1x4 scraps that I use from stove covers or whatever. I'll send that job out. I'll just sit there, waiting to hit the stop button. If it's because you'll learn the sound of that bit, the sound that bit makes when it's going too slow or when it's going too fast. You're pushing it a little too hard. You'll get to where you can listen to it and get a good feel for whether you need to go slower or faster. So that's it takes a while though. You're gonna mess some stuff up in the beginning, no doubt.
Yeah.
Jeff said he uses Carbide Create with his Genmitsu. I didn't think about that. I guess you could use Carbide Create because it's like a free software. I don't think you don't have to verify your machine or nothing. Oh, never thought about that.
I think the base version.
Yeah, the Pro, you'd probably have to.
But and that's a good way to at least get your feet wet with it. But for me, especially if you're going to be using one of those little desktop ones, you don't need the Pro version of VCarve unless you're doing some advanced features or have the bigger working area. The subscription model on a lot of those is going to eat into the cost of just buying outright the VCarve software. So
you want to take a shot at this one because I know I know what you're thinking because you're going to be thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, assuming that he's using Lightburn.
Yeah. If I don't know if the new update has changed anything, but I would double check your offset in the device settings, and that's basically what because that one has the red crosshairs that are offset from the laser. There's I forget what the standard one is for the S1, but it's down so many millimeters and over to the right so many. I would double check that that's not off. You can just have your laser draw a line and then double check where it starts, and if it's off, start adjusting the number back. It likely could be your offset in Lightburn.
Yeah, the way I check like a lot of these machines that you get, I got one over there that's like doesn't exist yet, and there's no literature on it. It didn't have a manual in there with it or anything because you know how it is with the prototype machines. And I had to set the offset. So the way that I've started doing it is I'll take like my little Sharpie right here, and I'll make me a little dot on a piece of material and set it in there, and I'll put the red crosshair on that dot that I drew. And then I'll set the fire button to like 20% on the Lightburn, and I'll just send it like a pulse like you would if you were trying to align the lens on a CO2. And then I'll take and draw and measure how far it is and then just put it in the Lightburn. So if you need to map it out, if you can't find it or if it's for whatever reason it's not working correctly, you can do that, and that'll give you an idea because you just measure the distance like down to the dot and then the distance over to the dot. And that's your offset. Well, I'm guessing he's comfortable back here. I can't. Let's see if I can get him.
He's taking a nap.
That's fell out back there. I heard like a massive like exhale. I was like, what in the world happened back here?
Ladybug's saying YouTube recommended your channel to me. Do you also 3D print? And I'm not sure which one, but yeah, we both do. We do a lot of Clack's got some of his things on display there, but a lot of computer controlled tools. So it's lasers, CNC routers, 3D printers are a lot of the things we work with and try to show some tips and tricks either on the specific machines, how well they do with certain things, or processes. I've done I've tried to help people get over the a lot of people with 3D printing don't know how to start 3D modeling. And so I've started doing some Tinkercad videos. It's a free online service and software. You can do some basic modeling. So yeah, I do that, and then also show how I use some of those tools with the workshop and such. So it's not our only thing here. It's kind of mixed in with everything else.
Yeah, I use Fusion mostly. I'm not against the Tinkercad that Steve has, but I've had Fusion for quite a while, and I've gotten to where I know just enough with it to do the things that I normally do. Now, sometimes there comes a point where I'm like, I really want to do this, but I don't know how, and so I have to kind of send myself back to YouTube college to try to figure out exactly how to go about doing that. And then I add that to my toolbox of skills, because that's the way we all are. I'm not going to sit there and learn every facet of software. I'm just going to learn enough to do the stuff that I want to do. And then when I run into a roadblock, then I'll go back and learn something new, because who's got time to be sitting there trying to learn it from front to back when it's stuff that I may never use? Because I know all y'all are just like me. You're like, okay, now I know how to make a file and burn it on my laser, so I am done training. And I'm the same way. So
cool. Brent's asking, can I basically a 10-watt output engrave anodized aluminum? It sure can. I've actually done it with the 5 and 6 watt units as well. It doesn't take a whole lot of power to remove the anodization off aluminum. So
yeah,
just run the material tests. Grab some extra cards. Those little business cards are inexpensive on Amazon. I have a stack of the cheaper ones just for doing material tests. Now for actual projects and things I hand out, I like getting those thicker ones. They just tend to feel better. They tend to not warp or get wrinkled as easy. So, but those cheap ones are great for material testing.
LTX Designs want to know how we're doing. I'm doing pretty good. I'm distracted slightly because a dog showed up at my shop that doesn't belong to me. So right now I'm just kind of waiting to see if there's a cat conflict here in a little while. I'm figuring if the cats smell him in here, they're probably just going to stay in the woods for a little while. But or they're going to stay up there. They may already be up there in their bed, but we'll see.
Oh, let's see. Trying to jump ahead a little bit so we don't get too far behind. But if we miss your question, go ahead and drop it in again.
Somebody's wanting to do a Tinkercad for beginners video. I think the videos you've done I think they'd be a pretty good jump off from like zero knowledge. I think they would work.
Yeah. The one I did, I made a very simple block to hold the little USB drive and the focus tool for the Lasermatic. That one kind of would be the best like beginner one, because I kind of talked through how I set up Tinkercad initially, and then kind of what some of the basic tools are. And really on any of them, I try to make sure that I'm explaining the tools as well. But that would probably be your best kind of beginner one to start from.
Yeah. Ron's asking, do any laser engravers work on curved surfaces? Says he's a wood turner also and would love to engrave inside and outside of a bowl. I know there's a lot of them that say they will. I would have to say, as far as a bowl, you're probably gonna have to get a galvo to get inside a bowl. depending on how deep the bowl is.
Well, yeah.
But the S1 is the only one that I can say I think does a really good job because it uses that probe. The rest of them use cameras, and it's kind of hit and miss. But yeah, a Galvo, if it's a really deep hole, it's just about going to have to be a Galvo of some type.
Yeah, it's
the
gonna
Ultra, they do it with the Ultra, but I haven't played with it, so I can't verify how good it works.
Depending on the depth and the size of the bowl, especially on engravings, when you want with a typical gantry style, it's got to have kind of the overrun area and such. So it's a little tricky. Now, some people, depending on if they're wanting to do the inside edge, you can chuck it into a rotary and kind of angle it and do some stuff. But curved surfaces are still something that they're playing around with, and a variety of manufacturers are starting to play more with it. So yeah, it's a little hit or miss. Now, if you want to do just the base of the bowl, yeah, a Galvo style like the F1 or well, at least most of the diode based ones or the LP5 from Laserpecker might work. But you're going to be limited to your working area there as well, and it's still going to need to be fairly flat at that point. So I think it's one of those technologies that it's interesting to see, but this would be one of the definitely like the use cases for it. But again, depending on like how far up that edge you're wanting to go and how deep it is, it's still limited a bit.
Yeah, if you had I would say like a CO2, maybe a CO2, like one of these guys, and a big enough chuck to where you could get that bowl at an angle and do like the walls of it, and then do the inside separately. Maybe it would require some setup for sure. And I don't know that I think it would need to be either a blue diode, like you said, like a Laserpecker or something, or either a CO2 galvo type.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Becky's asking, is there a way to retrieve a design after you get an error message when doing a project? XCS is what I use. I guess it depends on the error message. A lot of times they will, the software will kind of quick save and try to recover files. Outside of that, I learned long ago, because I got burned on this many times myself.
Save.
Yeah. Interesting thing is I got into this because of SketchUp. There was a version of it that was buggy, and it would try to autosave, but it would often crash during the autosave. So I had to get into the habit of more manually saving. Outside of that, if you're not seeing it in like previous designs or you didn't save, I'm not 100% sure if XCS has any sort of like orphan files that you can recover from, unfortunately.
It's a dog snoring.
Well, we can't hear him, so.
Yeah. Valerie says if he was a cat chaser, he'd be smelling for him. And he did kind of wander around for a minute there in the beginning, so I don't know. Like I said, the cats live outside with the coyotes and foxes and dogs wandering through periodically. So I'm pretty sure they can escape, but I really don't. I don't want him around here if he's going to be trying to kill my cats. So
yeah,
I'll have to drop him off somewhere tomorrow if he does that.
Good to see Ryan in here. They wrapped up their Gatton Christmas challenge on Christmas Eve. And I believe the winners are going to be announced next week, and there may be a little surprise with that. So stay tuned.
Greg, the reason that I would recommend for like a bowl, depending on the depth of the bowl, is because with a gantry style machine, first of all, if you're trying to do the inside wall and you turn that bowl to try to do the inside wall, the module is going to hit it. The problem is and even if you do put the module down in a bowl, you have to set it to like current position, and you have to limit it to that little area inside the bowl. You could do some engraving in a bowl with a gantry style, but to be able to do the bottom as well as the sides of the interior, me personally, a gantry style machine would give you a better chance of doing it because the beam literally can go 12 inches from the head of the machine. There's no moving parts to collide with anything. So, and I mean, if you had the software to where, I don't think any of these machines will do it to where you can move the Z while it's engraving. But if you did have a machine where you could set it to drop so many, millimeters and then do the second layer, it would make it a lot easier. But you'd have to do like one setup to do the inside, the edges of the bowl, and then do another setup to do the bottom is how I would go about doing it. Because I've done like the inside of like some little drop trays and stuff. Like if you were doing something like this guy right here, if you were trying to engrave in something like this, yeah, a blue diode, most blue diodes would have no problem with this. But even with some CO2s, this lip is deep enough that if you set the focus properly, you're going to catch. If you try to go too far over here, that focusing foot or the nozzle or something's going to hit this lip and move your workpiece. Whereas with a Galvo, the head's way up here and there's nothing to cause you any problems. So that's where those machines sometimes have an advantage because the fact that the beam is emitting from 12 inches higher, you don't have that material collision to worry about.
I mean, you're going to have more luck with a CO2 than most diode lasers. They tend to have a longer focal length, so the module is going to be further away. But yeah, I've done a lot of those trays with CO2s. Yeah. But if you get a deep hole, you start running into issues.
Yeah, the last couple of these desktop CO2s I've had have that little focus foot and stuff sticking down, and it sticks down like even with the nozzle, and they don't have that much standoff. Now, like the 40 or the 70 over here, the A70, that thing's got like that much standoff. I could do a pretty good size bowl with it, but then you get the other machines and the other lasers where the little cover is sticking down and stuff like that. You just have to watch for the physical moving parts of some of these gantry style machines.
Well, that's where you get a real CO2 laser that's got.
Well, I don't have one of those, Steve. I'm a hobbyist. I don't have a commercial machine with with an interchangeable lens that I can make it reach like 12 inches. I don't have that.
Technically, the OMTech laser that I'll have the video out is cheaper than the one you got.
Mine does not have that. Mine has a P2-ish and an Atom Stack Hurricane-ish setup. I kind of like the one that you got better than the one that I got because
what I was saying is that the one that I have, the video's coming out, it's easy to interchange those lenses and it's cheaper than the OMTech Polar you got.
I know. I saw that. I saw it in your video. I'm like, dude, I could actually do like big tumblers in that one because it has longer standoff.
Yeah.
You could do the what is it? The expensive ones everybody likes now. The
Stanleys.
Stanleys. Yeah, you can do the Stanleys in that one. I do 88-inch tumblers in this one, and it's pushing it the way it's set up. So
yeah, so I actually measured it today. This one, now the one thing and this will come up in my video that I'm mentioning, it's got the hand crank for lowering the bed. It'll go down to where you've got 11 inches between the platform and the nozzle. So you got about 10 and a half inches of focal distance that you can work with there and still have something in focus. So yeah, you can definitely get deeper items, such as, a pre-made gift box or things like that into this laser.
Yeah. Chris Greeter is asking, as a new laser owner, still waiting on his Ocean HT460 to arrive, does a list of terms exist for all file types, the lingo, so to speak? Not that I'm aware of, but if you'll come hang out with us in the Sunday Night Live, you'll learn about every lingo, phrase, word there is because we talk about everything. But just if you start watching a lot of videos, you'll pick up on it. It's as far as the file types, I mean, you've got raster files, vector files, image files, SVGs, PNGs. I mean, it's not that much. Steve, are you frozen? Oh, never mind. His mouth moved. I thought you'd froze. But there's a lot of different file types that you can import and export, but the main ones are going to be just like vector, raster, image, like and then of course light burn files, DXF, SVGs. Those are going to be typically what you're going to be messing with. Unless Steve has the list that he has compiled somewhere over there.
No, there's I don't know, that would be a good, that probably would be a good kind of cheat sheet to create there of like at least the basic ones. You know, that like some people struggle with the raster versus vector. I mean, there's a bunch of each style, but those are kind of the core file types that you work with. And then, you know, some of the other machine specific things. You know, maybe that's a good thing to work on, trying to develop.
You see that comment down there?
You know, I don't keep as good a tally as you do as far as things that have come into the shop. I'd have to go back and look.
Oh, Steve does get all the new toys.
It's not true.
Well, he gets most of the new toys.
That's not even true either.
He gets a lot of the new toys. How about that?
I get the hand-me-downs. The hey, we couldn't get anyone else to do this, or everybody else has already had it, so we'll send one to you.
No, you've got to hook up on certain things, and certain things. Because I've been playing second fiddle with Laserpecker for a while. Like you're like Laserpecker's favorite guy.
You're gonna pick one manufacturer. Go this. I don't. This is gonna. I am grateful for everything that these places send me, and I try to spread that love. But yeah, I wouldn't say I get all the new toys.
Now we do get, we're blessed because of what we do, and it's fun, and we appreciate it. But yeah, Chris, you ain't supposed to be bringing up stuff like that. So the ones of you that aren't familiar with the channel, I have a green screen that I bought when I first started doing this that I've never used for anything like, I don't know, video-ish. But I do take, if I have a new machine that y'all aren't supposed to see, I put the green screen on it. That way I can remove it from videos if I need to. That way it's covered up. And so anytime you see that green screen color, that generally means there's something in the shop that I can't tell you about. So, because I have to keep it covered up, because if just sitting it over there somewhere doesn't work, because I'll pan around with a camera and catch it. I actually did that one time with a machine, and it scared me because some of these companies will get really upset if you let something get out that they don't want out.
So, David's asking, do either use Creative Fabrica? Is it a good investment? I did purchase a annual subscription to that this fall. And if you do it in the annual plan, and I don't know if this is just a holiday thing or if it's an ongoing thing, but it's about $47 for the year, and it works out to be about $4 a month for the number of designs that are on there. Now they're not necessarily as full up on three-dimensional built up items, but if you're looking at, I need graphic design, I need fonts, I need, themed kind of things like that, rather than trying to sit there and pretend I'm a graphic designer and make cool looking, whether it's graduation, Christmas, name the occasion. They've got it, but they also do have, and they're working with more and more creators that have offered, caddies for stuff or pen boxes and all sorts of things. And they give you a commercial license to use it. And basically, once you pay for that subscription, I don't know that there's anything on the site that you don't have access to. So if you're doing this for a business and you find yourself spending time kind of creating designs for stuff, figure how long it would take you to earn back $4 a month on just searching for those, I need something for a graduation thing and congratulations, whatever. And it's got some artwork and you can just change a little bit of text. To me, it's valuable in that. But if you're just a hobbyist and you want to spend some time and you're just making gifts, maybe not. But you can also just one-off buy their things for usually a couple dollars a piece. So I personally find it's worth it because it saves me the time, and I don't have to spend a while frustratingly trying to make something look good when I can usually find something that's close enough. But just depends on what you feel your time is worth versus just download it and go. Kind of the same thing as buying Etsy files for something. Someone's made something that I don't have to design it. I'm happily going to pay them a few bucks for it.
Yeah. Well, so far on my little Facebook post, nobody has claimed the sleepy dog over here.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping I could tell somebody to come by and pick him up, but I've never used that creative Fabrica or whatever. Like I said, I have bought stuff off Etsy, like designs and stuff. Like you said, not that I can't design stuff, but like if somebody says, "Hey, can you put something like this on this for me?" And they send me a screenshot and it's a design somebody's already made, and it's like $2 or $3, $5. It ain't even worth me like breaking out a design software for. I'll go ahead and download it, purchase it, and then work that into the cost of whatever it is I'm doing, so that it doesn't cost me anything. So. But yeah, I've heard lots of people say they use it. So yeah, there's Greg with STL Woodworking. He, like I said, he's learning the F1 Ultra now. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of his projects.
Yeah.
He can go around the shop, mark all of his tools now and all that good stuff.
AGT Restore says they're looking for a better source for plywood. Been getting mine from Woodpecker, but the last 2 boxes have warped really bad. I know we've talked about True Flat and Ooch. Yeah, I know that out of Wisconsin, the Ooch, I never know how to correctly say their name, but I really appreciate them for both their hardwoods, but they also offer plywood. But I've used enough of it over the time that I've worked with some local distributors and dealers for getting Baltic birch plywood. And as you mentioned, down a couple more double B grade. And that way I get it in the 5x5 sheets, and then I cut it down myself. And, sometimes there are those biscuits and such in there that the plugs, I'm able to kind of just set those aside as testing material scrap, and I can usually get enough good material out of it. But then a lot of it's just about acclimation, is get it in your shop and have enough of it that you can kind of set it flat, put some weight on it, and just let it sit for a while. And in some rare cases, you might want to wet it down a little bit. If it's coming in looking like a Pringle, if you can send it back, great. But wet it down, let it sit, and the longer you can let it do that, it'll hopefully dry and acclimate kind of to your environment. But I don't necessarily have a better recommendation online. Years ago, I've used Woodworker's Source, but they are kind of expensive. The quality was good, but they were kind of expensive. So
here comes a cat.
So and then David's been working with True Flat.
It does good for like for if I was trying to do something really big. It's an MDF. So whatever you would use MDF for, like decorative type things, it works really well. I still use 1/4-inch plywood, but I'm using the birch plywood that I get from Rugby, which is this right here. And this is the non clear coated. They sell it in a pre-finished and a non-pre-finished. But like I buy this in 4x8 sheets and I rip it down. But this stuff is like, that's me trying to bend it. This stuff is tough. Now, with that said, it doesn't cut like 1/8-inch material either. It cuts like 1/4-inch material. So it's a little more stubborn. The pre-finished stuff that they have, I really like it because I can actually engrave on it and just wipe it off. It's about like True Flat. But that stuff is like, here's my sheet where I went and picked up a load of it. It is $22.40 a sheet for the 5.2 millimeter birch, and let's see, this VCCAB 1874 for the non-finished. So the finished is $22 for a 4x8 sheet. Non-finished is $18.74 for a 4x8 sheet. So even if I do have some toss outs, or maybe I get a bad piece that wants to twist or whatever on me, at the end of the day, it's cheaper for me to do this than it is to try to hunt all over and go to Home Depot and Lowe's and pay those crazy prices.
Yeah.
So that's what I do those for. And like I said, the trick to this is, though, you got to go pick it up and load it in the truck yourself, and that's the company name right there, Rugby. They actually sell, if you're in the CNC, they sell all kinds of MDF. Like they have 1/2 inch, 3/4. I think they said they have up to 1 inch MDF. They cater to like cabinet makers and people with CNC machines. So it's pretty cool. I'd never seen 1 inch MDF before until I went there. And they said they can actually get it, I think, 1.5 inches for like making countertops or whatever. But yeah, they had all kinds. Matter of fact, they had some like odd metric stuff that they were trying to let go really, really cheap. But I just couldn't come up with a justification for purchasing it, or I would have gotten it. I thought about buying a bunch of it and making slats for my bed on my machine, but I was like, where am I going to put it? Until I need it. It's just taking up room.
So yeah, there is a material that Menards started stocking that has kind of the similar. It's got a thin veneer. I think it's birch, but it could be maple. But it does. I can't tell if it's I'm pretty sure it's like an MDF or a light, like a very light MDF core. It's not quite as cheap as what you're getting there, but it looks similar to the Pure Bond stuff that I've gotten from Home Depot as well. But it does come in a 4x8 sheet. So I'm hoping I can go grab one of those and test it out. Just wish it was a little bit cheaper because I think it's still 30 something a sheet, if not closer to 40.
If it's a 4x8 though, I mean, by the time you break it down,
it's still better than some of the other stuff. But yeah, but definitely, folks, look in your area for actual hardwood dealers or plywood, lumber places that cater to, cabinet makers and even like builders. A lot of times they stock some plywood, but can also get in. They can often order what you might be looking for. So, and a lot of times it'll be a little cheaper than the big box stores. What are you laughing at?
The cats.
They came in and saw the dog?
No, they're sitting over there sticking their little faces through because they got like a cat door. It's like a dog door, but it's only like 8 inches by 8 inches. They're over there pressing their faces up against the cat door, looking in at him, and they're like taking turns looking, and it's like they're discussing whether or not they want to try to come in or not. Oh, but he hasn't. They're even meowing, and he hasn't. I don't think he's even woke up. No, he's awake. But mercy.
Mark's asking recommendations for cheap bits to learn on. A lot of times, like if you go and get a SaneSmart, it's going to come with a few, and they actually offer a pack that you can buy straight from them or on Amazon. And yeah, I would maybe buy an extra one. Because when you're learning, you're going to go through some bits. Everybody does. And even after you think you know what you're doing, you're going to continue to go through some bits from time to time. So it's just part of the game. So I would start there. But there are some on Amazon.
The Speed Tools is what I used early on, and they work okay. And they're not quite as expensive. They're still not like cheapest thing going, but they're not as expensive as the Jenny bits. But they don't stay sharp. They don't last as long as Jenny bits either. So
and that's the thing that I just caution anyone on, especially whether it's getting into a laser or a CNC machine. It's always that balance of you don't want to overspend on the tool, but you also you can underspend on a tool and then you're having failures because of not so much you're doing it wrong, but the tool just isn't up to the task. And you can almost learn some bad habits from that. So take that with a grain of salt as far as, going too cheap on bits, because if they dull out and now you're slowing your speeds down or you're slowing your depths down, you're going to kind of learn bad habits that are going to make it feel like, well, these jobs take hours, when you get into a decent bit and decent spindle, decent holding pattern, and all of a sudden you realize you can go pretty quick through some of this material. So yeah, but yes, in the first starting out, first jobs you run, grab some inexpensive bits, just to kind of get a feel for what the machine's going to do with the job that you send it, and then start dialing it in, like Clack was talking earlier. Start doing some test patterns and test holes with your bits and work your way up to others.
Yep. 276 days. Rob said it. 276 days left. That's right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not in California purchasing a Mega Millions ticket and winning $1.2 billion before taxes, but so I got a little bit longer to go.
Yeah. Isabel Ortega is asking, I have a question. My We Create 40 watt stopped going up and down. What can I do? Yeah, the biggest thing I would check would be the like they said, the wiring to the stepper. I think it's only got one stepper in the bottom, and it is belted to the rest of them, I think. That raises it up and down, and maybe it pulled loose. That's the only thing I could think of right off.
I guess the question is, does it sound like it's trying to make any movements? I know some of them, they've like the original 20 watt Vision that I got, I had to take panels off, tighten up some screws, as in shipping or whatever. Things have wiggled loose because it was making some scraping and some grinding, and it wasn't wanting to go up all the way. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? So I had to kind of dig into it, unfortunately, to get at those screws to tighten them up. So yeah, that would be my question. Otherwise, yeah, it's probably a wiring thing. If it's just not doing anything.
Now if it's making noises but it's not going up, you could have a loose grub screw somewhere on one of the gears or something like that. I mean, there's a little more information. Like I said, if it's just not doing anything, then yeah, wiring first. But if it's making noises or attempting to do something, then you could have I think there's a belt in there that could possibly have jumped off, maybe. But that seems like that would cause it to kind of can't, because it's got those screws that actually raise the bed up and down. So, but yeah, several things it could be. Ryan, the only thing that I've got really is like, this is just a little 3D printed part that I made, and I've got another one on the other Galvo laser over there. And all that is just basically it's a sleeve that bolts to the top of the work surface, and then it runs out that 4-inch hose. And because I've been too lazy to put in like a Y and blast gates or anything like that, I just simply pull the hose loose from one machine and connect it to the other one when I'm using them, because I don't run them both at the same time. And then it goes up through there and out through that Vevor 4-inch fan, and then like 3 foot, and it's out the wall, out back. So it's literally just some 4-inch tubing and a fan, and those CNC designed hose holders there, which are basically like little hooks. So there's nothing really special about that, other than maybe the 3D print part. Matter of fact, let's see, where's it at? That should be it. Yeah, there you go. There's you got an up close look at it. Now I did find that matter of fact, I left one of my darn lens covers off. Let me fix that. Look out, buddy. That'll bother me all day. But this was an attempt at a lens cover, but I found out it'll actually block that hole. So if it gets really cold, I can actually block off the cold air. So it was a failed attempt at it was a lens cover, but it was just a little too small or a little too big, one of the two, and it wouldn't stay on there. But then I accidentally discovered it fits inside my little porch. But those things, like I said, those are just literally 3D printed parts. It's got a couple of slots in there so that it'll fit the 25 millimeter bases or any of the other ones. You just put 2 screws in there to hold it in place and stick a hose to it. Where you going, bud? You going over and get some cat water?
Robbie's asking about installing ventilations for lasers in the garage. Any suggestions? I actually have a pretty good video that I did on it when I added ventilation for kind of running one setup on 2 of mine. The only thing on that one is it's based off of a 4-inch outlet. So my number one recommendation is get an inline fan, get a 6-inch inline fan, put that as close to the exhaust port as you can, and then run 6-inch piping as long as you can, because once you choke it down, it's going to restrict the airflow, and you're going to be losing effectiveness out of that. Second thing is, as much as you can, if you can get like the aluminum or the tin piping, that smooth walled stuff is going to work a lot better than running too much of that kind of flexible hosing. Those ribs on that really do cut down on the efficiency. It's a needed thing at some point, but the less you can run that, if you've got a very stationary spot, it's always going to be there. Run straight walled pipe. You can get by with PVC. It's just a little bit heavier, and sometimes combining those with different sizes, you got to get the right stuff. But yeah, those would be kind of the key things. But like I say, I've got a video on my channel where I talked about my ventilation setup. Now, I've been kind of reorganizing things in here, moving things around. I'm not going to do it this winter, but I'm kind of hoping in the spring I'm going to change my setup. I'm going to run a 6-inch fan and 6-inch piping that is going to be a little more flexible as far as where I put the machines, but also more efficient, because I won't be restricting it down to 4-inch quite as soon in the process. I'll try to limit that to just right where it comes off the lasers, if even that, because some of my lasers I'd much rather have a 6-inch. But those are kind of the quick ideas. But definitely check out my video on a few other tips, and that'll hopefully give you a little more insight to it.
Yeah, when I get my new shop built, depending on how far I have to run the hose, I do plan on using like some actual dust collection tubing, or if I could afford it, I'd love to have that clear tubing to where you could see it. But that stuff, they really like that stuff. But like right here, literally these machines are, I don't know, 6 foot from the back wall. So that is my machine testing or my galvo pipe. And the galvos don't generate as much smoke, especially the fibers. They don't generate as much smoke as like a wood. Like if you're doing a CO2 or a big, cat came in, a big diode machine, you're going to need a lot more airflow than a galvo that's doing like a 4-inch coaster, because it's just going to generate so much more smoke. But right now, like I said, this shop was not intended for what it's being used for. So I'm just having to bore holes through the wall and slap stuff where I can, and go from there. If I stay in here too much longer, I may have to put in some different hoses and stuff, but I'm hoping that in about 276 days, I can start breaking ground on my new Clack Shack version 2, which it's going to take a long time to get it built, because I'm going to do a lot of the interior stuff myself. But hopefully it'll work out.
So are the files on your site?
No, not yet, but I guess I need to catch up. I've been staying so busy here lately. My Etsy shop has just fell to the wayside. But now that I've got them, the bugs worked out of them, the original file I wasn't so sure about, but I've done reprinted and printed those, and it's working really good now for what I'm doing with them. So I guess I could at this point. But that's literally like version 3. The first couple, I just didn't like the way they worked. So.
Laura, I hear you there. I'm just glad I'm not 5 digits away, but I am closer to 5 digits than I am 3 digits. So it is what it is. Ken, I'm not sure what you're using for magnets, but I've got a variety of these different rare earth magnets that you can get. Some of them have come with lasers, but between my RC hobby and this, I have just a random collection of these different heights, different thicknesses, different diameters. And so you can find these on Amazon fairly easily. and it's good to have different ones because sometimes you have something that needs a lower profile just because of the way the laser's working or whatnot. But these tend to work fairly well. But outside of that, I also have just cut out, instead of magnets, if you've got a honeycomb, you can cut out some laser cut pins. And if you're careful, you can leave that kind of arm that holds down the material no higher than maybe 3/16 of an inch, which hopefully will clear most lasers. And so between the combination of the two, I generally have pretty good luck with those.
Chris said he heard the Clack Shack orange filament's going up in price because somebody keeps buying them out of it.
It's not me.
It's Steve over there buying them out of it.
One roll. I'm pretty sure it was given to me for some reason. Like, here, we can't sell this stuff. Please use it.
SJ, I'm unable to engrave anything on my F1 after the new updates. Are you talking about in Lightburn or XCS? Because I haven't used Lightburn on the F1 in a long time because it to me, sometimes it's better to use the proprietary software because Lightburn just isn't quite adapt to them well enough. But I've ran my Ultra like yesterday, matter of fact, because I was showing Greg how to do some stuff. So I know it hasn't affected my Ultra, but I haven't used my F1 since the last event that I did. So I don't know. Let me know. Is that Lightburn? Are you talking about Lightburn or XCS? I'm guessing probably Lightburn.
It could be both. I know X-Tool's been kind of rolling out some updates, and it seems every update on if you're following any of the groups, there's people who end up having issues with them. I don't always update right away, depending on what I've got going on. So I haven't tried my F1 since the latest XCS update, and I think I'm still a version back on Lightburn, a minor version back. So not sure I can help with that, but
no, I've never tried the pass-through on the Rolly. And it's mostly because I have other machines that are bigger, and it's easier for me to just throw it in the X40.
Yeah. Tiara using a Scope Fun S30, using a lens every other project. If I don't replace it, it won't cut. Any suggestions on what could be wrong? Thankful I had the Rolly. I guess I would hope. I don't know if you're using Air Assist all the time. I would definitely check that. I'm trying to remember on the S30, a lot of those air pumps after a while, they do get kind of dirty, and some of them have a filter in them that you can take out and either clean or replace. But if it's dumping dirty air into your Air Assist cone, that could be creating some problems for you. Otherwise, double check to make sure you're not getting any sort of if there's any sort of condensation, like if it's really cold where you're using your laser and that lens is warming up and getting some condensation on there, that's going to etch or crack the lens as well. So
I don't think you can see it. Yeah, you can barely see it. There's a little cat face looking through that door. That's Fluffy. She's like, wait a minute. What is that laying in the floor in there? Yeah, well, if you're late getting here, Gray, that dog just showed up. And I've got my female shepherd who is not really, she doesn't get to visit with other dogs very often. So she's very dominant. And so I can't let him stay in the yard, but I got cats out here outside the shop, and he won't leave. He's done a liking to me and won't leave. So I figured he's better off in here where I can grab a hold to him if I need to. The cats are a little upset with me right now because they're trying to come in here and go to bed, and they keep looking in the cat door over there, and they're just standing and staring inside that door because they're like, what is that thing in our shop? So similar. Yeah.
Sharon's mentioning getting a alarm 9 homing failed, could not find limit switch
Come here, buddy.
within search, and 5 asterisk pull off on locate phases. I mean, usually that homing failed is the when you set up the dimensions of the laser, you tell it kind of the size that it's going to be, and then it's generally going to be looking for a limit switch within that dimension. So I would double check to make sure that the dimensions are set up correctly, and that it didn't get adjusted as far as the size, and also that the limit switch is working. So if it's kind of getting to that point and then grinding, it might be a wiring issue on that limit switch and that it's not triggering. Otherwise, if it's not getting to that point and stopping and then giving you that error, it might be the overall dimensions of the laser aren't jiving with the software settings aren't jiving with what the hardware is seeing. So hopefully that maybe gets you a little bit further down the road on that.
Hey, we may have an owner located.
Hey, all right.
They sent this picture. Is their dog, and like the angle's a little different, but I'm willing to bet this is going to be him. So
that's good.
Brandy's waiting to hear from him. She sent him a message. Apparently somebody, but they don't live anywhere near here, so we don't know how he got here.
Interesting.
Because like I said, I've talked to all the neighbors, because like my nearest neighbors are like a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away. And I've talked to all of them and sent a text out, because I go to church with most of them. So I know most everybody around me. And they're all like, no, I don't know the dog and I don't recognize it from over here where I'm at. So,
well, I mean, there are certain breeds. Like I had a Siberian Husky for a while, and those dogs, they love to run. They love to run on a trail. So if they get on a path, they're just going to run until they don't really realize where they're at. And so that's the thing. When talking with some people who are like, yeah, I think that'd be a really fun dog. I got all this space they can run. I'm like, no. You got to keep that dog contained, or you got to run with it, because it will make itself lost.
Yeah, well, this one looks like he's about half Pyrenees, and I'm going to say maybe Lab, German Shepherd, something. I mean, because he's whatever it is, he got enough Pyrenees in him where he's got the long white hair and the real thick hair around his neck and everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I know those Pyrenees will do that too. They'll hit the side of the road and just leave. So, but maybe she can find who he belongs to and get him come get him, because I can't keep juggling the dog and the cats and all that.
Yeah. I noticed it, and they did their best to not. But they did win. So luckily it didn't go too late, or I might have been late for this show as well. And Cody's working overtime on a Sunday. Emailed the tracking numbers for each of the Jenny Bit winners. So if you're one of those, I'll try to get that out to you tonight as well, so you guys can get those. And like I said, anybody from last week's show that hasn't, they're confused about what's, if they haven't heard from us or are wondering, go ahead and reach back out to me through my email, and we'll make sure we get everything connected on that. So, but Cody, we appreciate you supporting that and doing the work on a Sunday evening to get those out as well. Question: are we doing the live from Vegas? We don't know our time frame out there. We don't know what kind of, this is a huge technology show. We don't know how the networks are going to be as far as, having data available to us. We'll be doing what we can. And so, whether it's through stories on Facebook, Instagram, or community posts on YouTube, or short videos on YouTube, if we can do a live, maybe we'll try it.
Good gosh.
But yeah, definitely follow us on our various mediums, because we'll try to get some fun content out while we're out and about doing things, and while we're there, and see what we can do. So, we'll kind of see when we get out there.
Wow. apparently his home's like 15, 20 miles from here, down near the river.
Ooh, that dog went on a long run.
If it's the same dog, which
Yeah.
I'm looking at that picture Brandy sent me, it looks like it's gonna be him. I sent him a picture of the collar just to confirm, but if they'll let me know what his name is, I'll hook him up with a name and phone number tag to put on the collar for him before he leaves here.
Yeah, before you go, let's put this on the dog.
Yeah. If they'll just send me his name and their contact information, I'll knock that out, attach it before he leaves here. Hey, come over here. Come here. He may be looking for a place to use the bathroom. He's been drinking water ever since he came in here.
If it's not theirs, maybe you're gonna have to reach out to Klein to take the hand-me-down pup.
No, where he lives, he can't. I don't think he can handle this dog where he lives. He lives in the city, and this does not look like the kind of dog you'd want to have in your house all day.
Well, I don't know.
He has
He's
like
as lazy as he looks there. Maybe
I think Klein actually has a 3-legged Chihuahua he adopted. Like he found it somewhere at a store or something. That I don't know.
Well, Jack, appreciate you becoming a YouTube member. It's something both Clack and I have recently started, and we appreciate people supporting us. We kind of put it out there because people have been asking for ways that they can support us. So we don't want to feel like anybody feels they have to become a member. You're not going to be missing out on our core content, but we will be finding ways to kind of thank our members with maybe, some behind the scenes stuff, or, occasional like behind the scenes stream, like, comes, it might be a live stream where we're not talking with you much, but you're just kind of watching us work, and we'll occasionally poke in. But
yeah, we do that today when I was working on these stove covers, but then the dog thing happened.
We have that option on our channels now. If you want to, again, as always, no pressure for doing this, but we do appreciate people that want to give us a little extra support and motivation there. So thanks. And thanks everybody else who have joined.
So now if I don't pet the dog, he lays his head in my lap. Yeah.
Rob's asking about a 6-inch inline duct fan to use with the Lasermatic and the AP2. Is it better to use 6-inch ducting, or can I use 4-inch ducting that came with the Lasermatic? I mean, you can use the 4-inch. It's going to be a little less efficient, but especially if you're running it through the AP2, that's already kind of piped down for that. But if you have a 6-inch fan, the longer you can keep that at 6 inches, the better it's going to be. You're going to have better airflow. You're going to have better, you won't have as much restriction. So, but that being said, in both my setups, I have a 6-inch fan, and then pretty quickly it goes down to a 4-inch pipe, much like you're doing. It's just know that it's going to reduce the amount of airflow that it's able to move through it, and the fan's going to be working a little harder than it would like to. But yeah, everybody ends up kind of doing what they can do. Key thing on that is keep things as straight as you can. Don't have extra length where you like if you have a flexible hose, try to cut it down to only the length you need, and don't have sharp bends in it, and that'll help keep things moving as smoothly as it can. Gail McKinnick's got a X-Tool S140 watt for Christmas. Congratulations on that. Never had one before. Not sure what to expect. I did get all the accessories, riser, the air purifier, anything I need to know. New laser owner. Watch some videos out there. I actually have a video out. It's about an hour long, but it's on the X-Tool S140 watt, and kind of walks through kind of how to use XCS 2.0 and some of your first jobs you should do and some material tests. That would be a really good kind of video you can watch and maybe replay certain sections on it. But get the venting set up to that air purifier as best as you can. And just start with, get some, even if you got some cardboard from the box, or get some inexpensive material and start running some material tests to just get a feel for what it will do. Take the safety parts of that seriously. I mean, the S1 is pretty good about not letting you do anything with the lid open, so that's good. But yeah, watch there's a lot of information between our channels and other people that you can get some good information on it as far as, you know, what to expect your first runs on it. And so I would roll with that first.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting messages about to try my dog locating investigation we got going on over here. Harry, I run a mini split in my shop. We've been trying to collect up money to get Steve one. But yeah, I've got one in my shop. I actually went and it's, you can't see it. I guess I could probably aim a camera over there. Hang on. Look out, buddy. So I actually, I did have to put me a box on it. Let me see which one it is. So to keep the dust and stuff from getting sucked into it, I have a laser cut box that I put together and framed up with some little strips of wood that I take, like the cheap, just throwaway Dollar General like filters, and I just change them out. Like I'll take that one out and blow it out a couple of times. I blow the machine itself, the mini split out with the air hose periodically. And but so far it's been in here for like, I think like a year and a half now, something like that, year and a half. And it works good. I mean, we have a very moderate climate here, which I say that, and the other day it was actually colder here than it was at Steve's house. But it does a good job, especially considering that this shop is not that well insulated because it was a pole barn, and I just kind of like threw it together to make a shop out of it. So the insulation is very subpar, but it keeps it like, even when it gets real cold outside, it's down into the 20s and 30s. It stays like mid 60s in here. So yeah, I've had a few Fords. I got my first Ford truck when I was it was a 1985 XL with 300. I got it back in, I was 15 years old, I think I was. And then after I got rid of that one, I got a 96. And then I kept the 96 and got a 2005. And now I have a 2018 F-150. So I come from a long line of F-150s. So.
Yeah, they rust out just as good as anything up here. So,
well, this one won't because it's aluminum. The body won't rust. The frame might rust out from under it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. I mean, that was a problem on the Suburban I had. I crawled under there one day and I was like, this is, you got too many things that are starting to rust and fall off on there. So you got rid of that.
Let's see, what size mini split is it? I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure. What if that sticker says? Hang on, let me go look what that sticker says.
North Alabama wondering about the tab feature in XCS and how does it work? I'll be honest, I haven't used it yet, and something I should probably look into. It is nice feature to add. Like if you want to, it's good for like if you're trying to create like flat pack kits of cut parts. The tabs are there to kind of just leave a gap in the line that are easily cut out, so that all the parts will stay in the sheets that you cut. So like when I was making model airplane parts, I would do it that way. But you got to be careful. You want to find the right. Sometimes depending on how the software does it, I like to manually add tabs because sometimes it'll put it in a place that really doesn't make sense, or it's really hard to cut out because of the grain pattern and such. But I'll try to look into that and see how it works to maybe be able to better speak to that in the future. Because for that reason, when you want to cut out a panel but not have all the parts leave the actual panel, it can be nice. Yeah.
Somebody was asking what size my mini split is. It's a 1 ton. I probably should have went with the poor insulating that I've got going on. Plus I got this big 16-foot wide, 9-foot tall door in the front. I probably should have stepped it up a little bit because when I did the cubic feet calculation and all that, it said go with a 1 ton unit. But I didn't think about this uninsulated barrel door that I have being such a such because when that door gets cold, it gets cold air in here. When the door gets hot, it gets hot in here. And there's really no way of insulating the thing other than like magnet sticking blankets to the backside of it or something. So, yeah, but it's a 1 ton that I've got over there right now, and it's working pretty well. I probably should have upped it at least a 1/4 ton or a 1/2 ton, but it does okay. It struggles a little bit, like I said, when it gets really hot around here.
Yep. And here it's if I'm looking at those, I want to look at the northern climate specific ones, because while it does get hot up here, I more need it for dehumidifying because my shop is fairly well insulated because I am in a northern climate. And it would be nice to be able to use it for heat as well as cooling. I need to do that, but I've just had other priorities and things in the way of getting that done.
I was going to try to find a picture of my new truck. I got pictures of my old one. I ain't got no pictures of my new one.
Ryan's a convert over to the Fords and got a F-250 a month ago, but he's already like over halfway to 10,000 miles on that thing. I think all his driving for Christmas light installing. So,
yeah, well, like I said, I had a 2005 before I got this one. And my problem with the 2005, it was a good truck, but it was a 2005. It had like 170 something thousand miles on it. And at the time I was, going and working storms and like hurricane infested areas and tornado areas and stuff like that. So it had like 44-inch mud grips on it. It had a push bumper and all these other things, camper shell, big luggage rack up top, because I literally would go to disaster zones and live out of the thing. Well, but I quit doing that and started getting more into the woodworking and going to events and so forth. That's when I decided I needed something a little less, off-road and a little better on gas. And so I went and bought that one to get me a little bit better gas mileage. And it has done me a good deal on that, because I'm getting like 19.5 miles to the gallon, just like running around, which is unheard of in my world with a F-250 or F-150, I mean. So, yeah. Matter of fact, there's the old one. That's my older one that I had. So, I sold it when I got the silver one. But I don't see any pictures of the silver one.
Well, I drove through the local Ford dealership lot the other day. Does that count?
Sure. Oh, I'll show you this picture. This is some of my good photography there, Steve. That was me at that hurricane that hit Panama City. Yeah. That's right. That's before I put the camper shell on there.
Yep. Well, we're diving into the Ford live stream. So if people have laser questions, maybe we missed it, go ahead. It's a good time to drop it back in before we go down complete car talk.
But yeah. So there's some of my escapades back in the day. But that was what I did before I got the shack. That was how I made my spending money, my tool money, was anytime a natural disaster hit somewhere, whether it was a ice storm, Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, places like that, I would load up and go do security for businesses, whether it be like oil wells or that kind of thing. And I would literally live out of my truck, like you can see right there. So that was where I slept. Yeah. But that was how I made extra money. It was pretty fun. Some days you were having to pull over and drain your differential to get the water out of it because you didn't realize that the vent tube had came loose. But yeah, it was an experience. There you go. There's some good ones. That was some really upset folks there. But that was what I did in a previous life there, fellas.
All right.
That was Houston.
This is fair game because someone asked.
Uh-oh.
Gray Viking was asking, what are you flying these days?
See, there it goes.
Well, I can't let you talk about cars all night. So this is part of my collection of model aircraft out at the flying field. And I flew all of those at least once that day. That was a good day. So I fly a little bit of everything from a lot of aerobatic stuff to, some scale stuff, warbird stuff, just to some fun, park flyer, not real airplane kind of things. So, but yeah, that's kind of the other hobby of mine, and what originally got me into CNCs and lasers.
Well, we struck out on that owner. Their dog does not have a collar, but looks just like this dog. I don't know how it can't be their dog, but whatever.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I mean, literally, look, that's the picture they sent, right? Yeah, that's the picture they sent of the dog who is missing. All right. And then there's a picture of the dog with his head in my lap. Like, but they said it's not. So I guess we'll keep looking.
Any thoughts on the one laser Hydra 7?
It sounds good.
Just the name sounds good.
I mean, it sounds good, especially if you're like a fan of what was it? What was the show? Hydra. DC Comedy now. Dang it. I'll think about it in a minute.
So I mean, I've only seen the marketing materials on this. I don't know that anyone other than a few influencers have gotten these, and even from them, I haven't noticed a big influx of content from some of the places. I've just noticed a few people talking about them. I mean, it looks good, and the fact that they offer both a standard glass CO2 but also the RF metal tube is nice that you can have those options, because there are benefits to the going the RF metal tube and whatnot. It seems like a nice machine, but I mean, it's a brand new company, and not really seeing one in person or talking to someone that I know that has had their hands on one, I really can't say a whole lot about it.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of folks that I know that have them, but I haven't seen them do a lot of content with them as far as other than just showing you how it's built. So I haven't seen any actually being used. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll have to see.
Any pointers for starting out laser engraving, cutting acrylic?
CO2.
Well, CO2 makes it easier. You can cut and engrave, darker and opaque colors with a diode. Yeah. So I guess my baseline tips for it would be, first off, know what your laser can do. There's a lot of people I see in various groups that, they got their diode laser, pick whatever brand, but they're like, how do I cut clear acrylic? And they don't like hearing the answer, well, physics won't allow you. So understand the laser you have versus what you can work with it. From there, it is a balance of power and air. And in some cases, less air is more when cutting acrylic. You're looking for kind of that polished edge, but too much can actually cool down the cut. And it can also cause it to, you want it to clean out the cut, but you don't want it to like splatter the molten plastic to where it refuses on the bottom. So I've seen both of those. So in some cases, if you're struggling with it and you have an adjustable air try backing off the air just a little bit. When engraving it, you run the risk of getting kind of that vaporized plastic on the surface of it. So it's good to use, either leave the cast acrylic, which is what's better for engraving. It'll have kind of that paper coating on it. It's actually best to maybe leave that on there and blast through it, because it'll act as kind of a protecting layer so that vaporization doesn't get stuck to the acrylic itself, and that can kind of ruin your engrave as well. So those are a few of my tips. You got any?
I mean, you about covered everything. But like I said, there's a sweet spot between too fast and fast enough. And because like I said, with acrylic, you can get it too hot and go too fast, and literally it will just kind of weld itself back together right behind the cut, and it'll look like it cut, but it'll still be stuck together. So you definitely want to use air assist with acrylics, because they melt and then they can go back together. But with the air assist, a lot of times it'll keep that stuff from being able to stick back together. You got a show and tell over there?
Well, this is a test I ran on the CO2, and these down here are cut out, but the ones just above it, they're like you were just saying, they're kind of cut through. I can feel the cut on most edges, but they've kind of refused themselves on this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a thing to kind of look out for. You can actually kind of, I think what Eric did that over at Valley Forged, as well as a couple of people talking about welding acrylic kind of layered on top of each other with the right settings. You'll actually be able to kind of fuse it back together using that same technique. So
yeah, it's like I said, it's a balance. You don't, because if you get it too hot, it stays hot longer and can fuse back together. So
right,
you kind of want to use air assist and go just the right speed. And what do you keep getting? You got ticks on you? How in the world you got ticks all over your face? Kind of pop ticks off the dog over here. He's got them all over his head. You're going to have them all in my shop.
So Gillette posted a question in the group about texts and light burn. So we mentioned it earlier. We do have a Facebook group for listeners of the show and kind of both of our channels, communities and such. It's called Laser Engraving Community. And it should be linked down in the videos wherever you're watching it, unless maybe you're on Twitch, and that doesn't allow us to put those in there. But I'm going to try to see if I can find that quick, unless you've got it over there.
What are you looking for? The Laser Engraving Community?
All right, you brought up the question, so I was just trying to.
Yeah.
I think I found it. So Isaiah is asking about text that grows from big to small or vice versa. So kind of like a skewed text.
Ooh. I never tried doing that. I would think if you could change it over, take it from a text and change it to, say, a vector, and then skew it, do it that way. As far as a font itself, I think those have to be uniform just by the nature of the way fonts work. But you can take and you can actually make, matter of fact, let me pull this up right here. So a new file, discard. So like if you put some, dog jumping up on me. So if you put some text in your work area, like once you put the text in here, and let's say you wanted to skew this, let me see if it'll let me. No, that's just, like I said, it won't just skew it. What you're going to do is right click on it, and you can convert it to a path. And then once you do that, now it's basically skewable. So we can group all this together, and we should be able to reshape it now and like mess with it. So you can swap it around, and I don't know if I can. I don't know about moving one side to the other. Hang on, let me. I haven't tried that. I mean, yeah. I could probably take and make a. Okay, nudging me, dog. The dog is nudging me over here. All right, so now let me go over here. Take and turn this into a smooth. All right. See if this works. This is an experiment. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll see. So I'm going to take this text and put it over here. And I'm going to hold control, click that. Range. Where's my tool at? Okay, that's... See if I can make this work. No, not wanting to work. It's because it's not text. I done changed it. I don't know. I'll have to play with that. I was thinking that would work, but I'll sit here and piddle with that while you look for other questions and see if I can. But it's not letting me twist it or turn it. So
yeah, you may have to. Lightbird might not quite have that control. It might be something you're gonna have to set up in another design software and import it as a vector instead. But be something fun to play around with to see if there is that option.
I mean, you could always just like do it like this and resize everything. That's about as good as I know how to do. Is just to, resize them and kind of give it that illusion of being, you know what I mean? So it gives you that illusion of depth by doing a resizing. But as far as bending it, I don't know. Something I've never had to do. Like you said, that may be a what's it? Adobe or
Illustrator or GIMP, or not GIMP, but is it GIMP? I forget what the version. You're looking for more of the vector graphics, whereas Photoshop's more of a raster image.
EST. Seems like there should be a tool in here for that, though. Wait a minute. Distort is right there. Hold on. Is it going to let me? No, that doesn't do nothing. No, I'm not seeing any because, like I said, that's not. What, bud?
Well, we'll have to play with that and maybe see if that something comes up. Chuck's asked, I think he asked this multiple times, but what battery do I use to power F1 laptop? I have a couple different ones, but the bigger one that I've got, I'll put a link in chat to it. It's from VTO Man, and hopefully here I could even show this. If I can bring that up. There we go. It's about 1,000 watt hour. Well, it's 1,500, but it has about roughly about 1,000 ish. The one I have. This one's similar to it. I think it's a slightly different version than what I have. And very similar to Jackery's and the Blue Eddies and such, but this one is it was kind of cheaper per watt hour, and so that's what I was looking for. It had the basic functions I needed, but was cheaper to get kind of more capacity into it for the dollar. So I've used this one quite a bit. I've showed it off in a couple videos as well, using it as far as kind of the runtime. I used it on my camping one and such. And with the F1, and if I use my lighter powered laptop, I can get a good 5-6 hours at use time out of it without doing anything to top it off. If it was kind of just constant running, if you're realistically, you're kind of using it spot checking, you could easily stretch this out to a good 7-8 hour day. Now the downside of this specific one is its input power also isn't as high as some of the others, and that's where some of the Blue Eddies and such have a higher input. It's quicker to recharge them, but that's what I use. They got a sale on it right now too, which is a pretty decent deal. But you're looking at kind of the actually it's really more this, your watt hour and what's usable versus your dollar there, to kind of see what you need outside of any specific features. But that's one I've had for a couple of years, or the similar version of this. I don't think they have my exact model anymore. And I've been very happy with it. We've taken it on multiple trips. I've taken it down to David's twice to power my cooler and other things as well in the car. So,
all right, I figured it out, or I didn't figure it out. Somebody told me.
So anyway, yeah, that's what I use. I got a couple videos on these different styles of them. So if you want to check that out, they're there. What'd you figure out?
Well, I didn't figure it out. Somebody mentioned it, and I remembered I saw this. And what's up, Sam? How are you over there, sir?
Yeah, good to see you, Sam.
Yeah, there is a way. I knew I had saw it, but I couldn't remember exactly where it is. But if you put the test, let's just trash this and start over. All right, so if you put you some text in here, oh, can't spell. So you put you some text in here, and once you get it in the work area, here at edit, and where was it at? Hang on, I said I found it. Oh, maybe it's tools. There it is. This warp right here. You just grab one of these, and you can like move the text around and kind of make it, different shapes. So, and I'm guessing this distort up here probably would have done something before I did that. It would have let you do some stuff, but yeah, that's the only thing I've seen. Like I said, that's not something I've done a lot of, but that does let you kind of twist it and, make it look like it's bigger on this side and that kind of thing. So there you go. Yeah, there's that.
Cool.
I knew I had saw that tool, but I didn't know where it was. I kept looking for it, couldn't find it. Where did you go? Come over here. I sprayed him with some flea and tick stuff that I use on the cats. Not a fan. Not a fan of it. He ran away from me. Now he's over here licking on me. I'm afraid I'm going to be stuck with a dog. I didn't need a dog right now.
Brad's asking, can you save files in XCS or do you have to open from computer each time? I bought the F1 jig file from Clack.
Yeah, you save them. I mean, yeah, you just. What do you mean?
I mean, you can save files in XCS, and when you open it up, it'll generally show you a few of the recent files that you've worked with. But you still kind of need to do a file open kind of operation to reopen them each time. But yeah, if you're using it quite frequently, it's probably going to show up in some of your frequent files or some of the recent ones you've worked with. So
yeah, it'll show, a lot of them will show up like right here
when
you go to open them, but it's only gonna like be limited to a few. So like I got like that. There's my little jig system there for the F1. So once you click on that, if it's something you use a lot, then it'll stay right there. But yeah, you can, and then of course in here, you got to make sure you hit this canvas button, man. A lot of people don't know about this canvas button, but if you don't hit this canvas, you'll be like, oh, I only got 2 files, and it's actually like a whole bunch of files, but it just looks like you only got 2 files because the canvases are like, there's like 9 item files on each canvas. And so, yeah, got to make sure you hit that. But then you can, like I said, you can save them. You can export as a SVG if you want to bring it over to Lightburn or whatever. But yeah, pretty much that's all you got to do. So that's simple. All right, you're needy, dog.
Don's asking some of the Galvo lasers you talk about keeping the lens cover on when not in use. Should you do so with the X-Tool F1 Ultra? Yeah, I would recommend it because just like a camera lens or anything else, they always seem to find a way to pick up dust or, if there's any sort of condensation kind of situation, just because there's a little bit of a moisture change that can get things to attract there, or even just static. So it's a layer of protection to kind of help cut down on that and not have you, have to clean it quite so often. So it's definitely a good idea. Now, in practice, am I good at that? Maybe not. I don't have all the PLA orange covers that Plaque's
Yeah,
got.
well,
on
I
all
couldn't
his.
get this one to grip the F1 Ultra just right. So I just said, I finally just said, forget it. So I just printed me a piece to go over it and used some adhesive and made it to where I could attach it. I could not get one to grip the lens because they've only got like a small section of the lens sticking out. I just couldn't get it to grip. And so I 3D printed me a cover to go on their lens cover so that I'd have that tag, because I keep forgetting to pull it off because it doesn't have the tag hanging down like my other ones have. I mean, if I had like a big print, factory like Sam does over there, I'd have them sitting everywhere. Sam said he never uses his lens covers.
Yeah.
Probably burnt one. That's probably why I quit using them for a while, because I thought I was going to ruin the lens one time. But now I've started putting my little remove before lasering covers on there, and you can't forget those.
I'll admit, on the lasers I use more often, I'm probably less likely to put them on there. Yeah, I've tried to make sure, like on the comm marker and such, that I do pop that on there. But yeah, the F1 Ultra gets kind of used a little more often. So I have it in a bin with all the other parts I have with it. I don't always get it put back right on there. So
yeah.
But a tip from John up north about a clear acrylic. He actually keeps the focus closer to the bottom of the material and helps keep it from fusing back on itself. And I kind of see that probably helping out a little bit.
Widens the kerf a little bit.
Yeah, you'll have a little more of a little tapered effect to it, depending on the thickness of the acrylic and such. But not it's something to try. Depending on your design, it might not affect it too much, and might help that as well. So thanks for sharing that, John.
Yeah. I don't know if Sam saw this question. Sam Chris has got questions for you. He's wanting to know if Elegoo, if Elegoo knew the filament was going to be in your video, would they have packaged it better? I'm guessing he's talking about one of your where you showed some filament somewhere. But yeah, we should get Sam on here one day. I really want to go see his freaking print farm, because that thing came from like no print farm to massive operation within like a couple of months. So when I start traveling, I'm going to have to come by and see his stuff.
Apparently some people have recommended that you name the new dog Steve.
He's needy. I know that. Well, I don't know about new dog, because here's the thing. I'm trying to sit here and have a conversation with you guys, and he keeps sticking his head up under my arm, wanting me to pet him. So, and the cats are still not happy at all. Like they're just not having no part of it.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying a while ago, I need to name him Laser. I'm not really wanting to keep him, guys. I mean, if he had came in the yard, growling at me or growling at the kids or something like that, things would have went a little differently. But he actually come up in the yard being friendly and nice and not trying to kill my chickens and all that. And so I can't be mean to him if he's not being mean. You know what I mean? I'm not that kind of person. I wasn't just going to run him off because then he's liable to get out in the woods. The coyotes around here are vicious against a dog off by themselves.
Yeah.
And so far, the cats keep sticking their head in the door over there. He's just sitting here looking at them. Like there's literally a cat right now coming in here. So I'm going to hold the collar just in case. Steve, if this goes south.
Well, we've got a nice comment, and always appreciate any of the tips. We never ask for them, but always appreciate them. But Trade Skiller says, looking back on 2024, I've gotten a lot of entertainment from you guys in this show and your channels.
Come here.
And I say this in some of my videos. Hey, if you didn't learn something, at least you hopefully were entertained. So I'm glad we can provide entertainment, and hopefully that's nice. The head sticking in there. I always try to find a balance of trying to help teach people things and learn things, but also have fun doing it. So I'm glad we're making that happen on both sides of that coin.
I don't know that I got one. Let's see. No, that one's looking the wrong way. Let's see. I think that one's the one I turned a while ago, but yeah, I got it's too high. Yeah, I don't really have one right now aimed over that way. That one's on the table. Let me see if I can adjust this one temporarily.
Rob's asking a favorite source for slate, not the 4-inch coasters, but the 8x12-ish ones. I haven't used that as much, but every so often I'm able to find it at local craft stores. Michael's good at occasionally having someone come in and then they'll put it on clearance and such. And so I usually, now is a good time to go look for clearance items for like Christmas. Everything's like 50% off or more. So I try to find deals like that. I don't stock it too often because I don't do too many of the larger slate ones. So I don't know. Do you have a source that you found that for?
I used to have a friend of mine's wife used to work at Michael's, and I could get slate pretty good there, especially when it went on sale and stuff. But without consulting me, he went a different route, and so she's no longer in a relationship with him. So that's kind of shot that. I don't have access to it anymore. But Michael's is a good place to get slate. It's the different sizes. You can get the little plaques, and I've got some of the bigger ones over there now that are. Hang on, now I got to worry about tripping over a dog.
Sam's mentioning that Home Depot is a good source for slate tile. It's solid slate, but he doesn't have a local one, but they do ship it. So that I don't know that I've seen it at my local store, but I'll have to check that out.
See these. Now I will say this. I think Michael's has an online. I don't know, but that's See, this is like.
Yeah, that's the Michael's. And actually, if you're looking at the 4-inch tiles, buying the big bundle online is the cheapest way to do it. But
I don't know if you can read that or not, but it was $9.99 and it was on sale for 99 cents.
Nice.
And so, like I said, she used to like text me and be like, "Hey, you want some of this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So, but yeah, I don't have that hookup anymore. So,
yep.
Yeah, I don't have that connection, but Michael's, they do have that online Make It Market or whatever it's called. All right, I know I had made a comment that I'd like for my next dog to be able to come out here in the shop with me, but I'm going to wind up tripping over this dog. It ain't even mine.
Well, you say that.
Well, if nobody comes and gets him, I'm not going to drop him off at the place of no return.
Right.
But I'll just have to work through it. Hopefully his owners will message me on Facebook and be like, "We're on our way to come get him."
Yeah.
What's great?
Some people were talking about using Temu and such, and actually Sam did a video on this over a year ago where he had ordered from multiple places, and he kind of did a breakdown of how many came that were good enough quality and such. So kind of an interesting video to watch from his channel from I don't know, it's probably maybe even 2 years ago now, but you do run that risk buying in bulk, depending on how they're shipped, how they're packed, how many are actually going to survive. But if you can get them at the right price and you're still okay with the scraps can always be used for, samples and testing, but you are going to have some breakage and some loss on that. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I've used quite a few of the little coasters because I use those to test lasers with. Like I've been using one on the comm marker playing around. But I try not to waste my big pieces of slate for testing because, if somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'd like to have this," or "I'd like to have that," I kind of like to keep a little bit of that stuff around. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to get, more of it. So we'll see. I haven't ordered anything from Temu. I saw that same video you were talking about, but I haven't ordered anything from them.
Yeah, neither have I. I don't know. Being in IT, some of those apps concern me.
Yeah. Somebody was asking about not being able to see the comments. That's the one thing that I do miss about our old software was we actually had it to where you can see all the comments on the screen.
Right.
And if anybody from StreamYard is watching, could y'all please add that to the software? Because it's a lot more expensive than Restream. So if Restream can do it, surely we can do it at StreamYard. That's all I need is just that one little column on the right side to put the comments in. Because it makes it a lot better because because we can put a comment from the comment section on the screen and y'all can see it. But I used to like the way all the comments showed up on the screen. So if you're watching on one platform or the other, you didn't have to worry about, who's watching what show or whatnot. See, Sam's asking, forgive me if this is already covered, but what are the newest lasers to your shops or coming soon to your shops? The newest ones that I've got is the OhmTech Polar Plus, which is a remade Polar 350. It's just the Polar 350 with some changes, which so far are better changes. I've got this guy right here, which is awesome because you can actually mark like PLA and stuff with it without melting it. This is the UV laser from Calm Marker. And then that little faint piece of green you see wrapped up over there is a machine that I can't tell you about. But hopefully middle of January, y'all be able to hear about that guy. But it's a pretty cool machine. So, but I can't go into details about it. So sorry.
Well, I've got nothing super secretive like that. Latest one in my shop is the OhmTech Maker 25. It's just a kind of a bare bones, more industrial style CO2 laser, 50 watt CO2. So that initial video should be launching this week. Yeah, it's kind of a kickback to the first laser I bought, which was it was 60 watt, but it was really a 50 watt CO2 off of eBay. Similar in style, but a little bit bigger. But this one has some features that one didn't. But my old one had some features this one didn't. But this one's a little more compact. It's updated, and it'll be a little more relevant for people looking to maybe go down that path versus a lot of these desktop CO2 lasers. Just kind of gives a different option to look at. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything new coming or here right now. I guess the only other thing new is LaserPacker did send me their safety enclosure for their LP5. There's an issue with this was one of the few things where I got kind of like the early model was the LP5. And so they're having to work with me on a couple of special fixes for my machine because it was pre-production to get that working. So once that's resolved, then I'll be able to kind of show that. But it's kind of an add-on to the laser that you've already seen at this point.
Yeah. But anyway, before I change the comment, if y'all hadn't already, which most of you probably are, he's a much bigger channel than me or Steve. Go check out Sam's videos, especially if you're in 3D printing, because he's took a 3D printing to a whole new level over there where he's at. It's 3D printing for lasers, which is kind of cool. He kind of took and did the 3D printed jigs and stuff where I do a lot of metal cut or wood cut ones and stuff like that. He's doing a lot of the 3D printed ones. So it's pretty cool stuff. If you have the F1 or the F1 Ultra, especially, he has those. Also, if you want something different than the laser cut ones.
Yeah, I just dropped a link to his channel out there. So if you're not sure who we're talking about and you haven't seen Sam for some reason, definitely check him out. He's got some cool stuff.
Waldo, it should be if you're talking about me sharing my settings, it should be in there. I'm pretty sure, unless it didn't save. Now sometimes I'm bad to not save my material library. Let me look. Ceramic, clear acrylic. You know what? It looks like it may not have saved in my material library. So hang on just a minute. Let me find my thing and I'll show you. I'll tell you what it is. I am going to go back, however, and retest glass because when I did this test, I was only running the frequency up to 30. That was before Calm Marker reached back out to me and told me that it would go up to 100 on the frequency. But if you'll start in the ballpark of, let's see, what's that? Oof, just about need glasses for that. If you'll start in the ballpark of a 0.0423 interval, running. Let's say, what's that set at? It's Q pulse. Q pulse is going to be around 10 or 8 to 10 at about, wow, 430 on the speed. It gives that good frosting right there. So, yeah. And that's going to be at 30 kilohertz frequency. So, but I'm going to probably redo glass since I found that out, because this was the only piece that I had when I put that out. And I did like this little logo here with those settings, and it worked. But now I will tell you, I have learned if you do the 45-degree rotate and do like 2 passes of crosshatch, so that it basically does like, it rotates 45 degrees every pass, you get a lot smoother, like glassier finish. So it's frost a lot more consistent. So I would definitely recommend trying that. But I'm gonna go back and revisit glass now that I've got all of my parameters set out right.
Dale's asking, what do you think about the new LM3 that will come out in a couple months? And, did you get a chance to see the?
I saw other night in Rich and them's video and Rich and them's live. I saw the prototype that they were showing. It looks interesting. I don't know where I'm at on it though. I mean, I like the standoff part as far as, like we were talking about earlier, doing bowls and stuff. The fact that it's kind of a gantry to galvo type machine, I think could have some good case uses. But I'm just not sure. I don't know. I'd have to play with it. And like I said, I'm gonna wait and see what their final product looks like as far as how they wind up designing it. I would like to see the machine get a little bigger. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would like for it to be at least like a 500 by 500, but that's just me, because I like a little bigger than that. But it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I think for engraving, it's interesting to see where they're going. I'd like to see how they're dealing with cutting though, because galvos they can cut, but they're not great at it, because you lose that air assist and that beam's swinging around now. Since it's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, it had like a CO2 nozzle off to the side. I'm not sure what that was about. I don't know if they're going to have it to where when you go to cut mode, if maybe the laser, the galvanometer shifts it over and it hits another lens and comes straight. I don't know what that was about. It was like I said, I didn't get to see it like operate in cut mode, so I'm kind of curious about that. But I'm like you, if it doesn't have air assist for cutting, it's not going to be a cutting machine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe
Jack's
so.
The nozzle moves underneath the galvo head for air. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. Anyway, we're about 15 minutes over. Any last questions? Now's a good time to ask them. But yeah, it's been a fun 2024. The streak continues for our weekly streams, and we will have another one right before we hop on airplanes and head out to CES. So we will be back next Sunday, possibly packing as we live stream. But
yeah, because what is it, the 6th? What's our next stream will be? Yeah, our next stream will be the 5th, and we'll be flying out. I guess you are too, on the 6th. We've tried to get everything timed to where we'll be on the ground in Las Vegas at about the same time. One of us may have to like hang out at the coffee shop for a minute and wait on the other one, depending on delays or whatever. But yeah, I've only flown commercially one time in my entire life, and it was to Vegas and back years ago for a business conference with my wife. So, and then this week, like, crashes have been all in the news. And so I'm like, I really don't need that this week.
Yeah.
But so far, there's been 2 737s go down in flames this week. And it's been like, really? And I'm going to have to, but yeah, looking forward to the trip. It's going to be cool. There are some other content creators, a lot bigger channels are going to be there. So that'll be interesting to get to meet them. And then, of course, me and Steve are going to try to come up with something to do while we're over there, as far as go around and visit with some of the other vendors and stuff that'll be there, because we're going to be pretty much dedicated in one day to X Tool and hanging out with them. But then the second day, I think we're going to have a little time to ourselves. So that'll be interesting. But we're going to try to at least gather a little bit of video, if not few little shorts and stuff like that while we're over there. But I'm planning on taking my little pocket camera, as well as, of course, I have my phone and my iPad and stuff, and my mics. So trying to travel light, though. I don't want a whole lot of stuff, because you don't want to carry all your camera gear and then something happened to it. That would really, really, really hurt. And these cats are like, get out of here with that dog. But yeah, but it'll be fun, and we'll try to get some money. I'm reading the comments. We'll try to get some videos saved up for you guys to when we get back. If not while we're over there. So
yeah,
well, come hang out with us next week, Sam. Well, hey, we'll let you run the live next week if you want.
Yeah, let us pack.
We'll be packing. We'll just let Sam talk about lasers.
But yeah, hopefully everybody has a good week, a good happy new year, however you celebrate it. Hope you do have a good time and do that safely. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone back here next week.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to try to get this dog out of here without having a cat fight. So we'll see y'all later. Be safe.
See you, everyone.